The tops of these nightstands are absolutely wrecked. Good thing they made their way to me. Hello everyone, welcome back to Sab's Rehabs, where I take old outdated furniture and give it a whole new second chance at life. This is a set of lovely nightstands I found on Facebook Marketplace. They were $15 each, so that's $30 total. And this is real authentic mid-century pieces, so that is an absolute steal. Now you can see that the tops of these nightstands are absolutely ruined and they're old. So there is history here. There's scratches and dings and dirtiness all over. Even the insides of the drawers have some stains that just won't come out. Now these have a lot of work that needs to be done on them, but they've just had some love over the years. They're not completely useless at this point. They can still have many more years left. I start this flip off in typical fashion by removing the hardware and just giving them a good old scrub down and clean. Now, as promised in my last video, this is my second furniture flip in the new house, in the new studio. So make sure that you stay tuned in after the final reveal, because I will have a quick tour of my workshop, where I'm working at now, and what our new house looks like. To clean my furniture pieces, I spray a good amount of cleaner on the surface, and then I have these drill brush attachments that make cleaning so much faster, and it's easier on my arthritic hands to not have to do all that scrubbing by hand myself. Cleaning your furniture pieces is really important. I know it's a step that not everyone enjoys doing, but these are old. They have years of dirt and grime and use and just oil from people's hands touching them. So that has to all come off before you can get to your sanding and priming and all that. And I clean before I sand because I don't want to sand those oils and all that down into the wood grain and surface. Now, after cleaning, I do come back with a damp cloth and give it a nice clean rinse. Now it's time to start on repairs. You can see that the bottom of this drawer is dragging on the frame of the nightstand. So I have a quick and easy, simple way of fixing that. The edges of the drawers on each side just need a little bit of lift to keep them from dragging and hitting that frame. And my easy way of doing that is just using a simple thumbtack. Typically, you can see where the drawer actually slides along the wood frame there, and I put the tack right in the middle and use a hammer to hammer it down. Sometimes it takes one or two thumbtacks, so I'll put one a little bit closer to the edge, and when I put the drawer back in, it needs some conditioning for the slide, but the actual drawer doesn't hit the frame anymore, so that repair is good. The next repair I have, there is some chips and chunks just taken out of this, and some of the veneer is lifting up right here. To fix that, I just use some wood glue that's in a syringe so I can get up underneath the veneer, press it down into place. I come back with a damp paper towel to wipe away any excess glue, and then I put a paint can that's heavy with paint on top of it and let that glue set and dry. While the glue is drying, I do start using the carbide scraper. Now, I want to add a neutral, like light natural wood look in some of the areas on the nightstand. And this finish is practically almost coming off all the way gone anyways. So it was super easy to take this carbide scraper. After a few minutes of scraping, I was able to get the old finish off in that middle piece on the tops of the nightstands. I did continue with the carbide scraper to remove the old finish on the fronts of part of the drawers, and then also around the frame on the bottom of the nightstand. But sometimes you have ideas and they don't quite work out, so I do have some light natural wood, but not as much as I thought I was going to, because my plan ended up changing. While I had one of the nightstands laid on its back, scraping the base, I noticed this repair that I didn't see earlier, even during cleaning. And it's just part of the inside of one of the nightstands has cracked. And I used the same process as before. Some wood glue in a syringe, put it down in there, wipe the excess glue away with a damp cloth. And on this one, I actually used some clamps to help hold that wood into place while the glue dried. While that repair was drying, I also mixed up some Bondo and filled in the rest of the chunked, deep chunk areas on this, but I didn't think it was important for you guys to see it apparently because I forgot to record that part. But once the Bondo was dry, I put some 120 grit sandpaper on my Surf Prep sander and I sanded first the Bondo areas smooth, and then the areas that I thought I was going to do natural wood, I lightly went over that first, trying to get back down to that bare wood. After that 120 grit sandpaper, I switched to 220 grit, which is a more fine grain, and I went back over everything. So I went back over the areas that I had used the 120 earlier, and then all the areas that haven't been touched yet. And you can see that this finish is just coming off like crazy. That happens with really old finishes. But typically, this is just a scuff sand. So I'm not really trying to take that old finish off. It just happens to be coming off because it's so old and worn down. But here, I'm just scuffing up the surface. So I'm taking away the shine of the old surface or the old finish, and that allows a more rough surface with grooves, so it allows my primer to attach and adhere better than if I didn't scuff sand my pieces. I am inside an indoor paint studio now for my workshop, so whenever I get done doing a lot of sanding, I just grab my vacuum and the hose attachment and just suck up all that excess sanding dust. Next, I come back with a damp microfiber cloth to wipe away the remaining sanding dust that is still sticking to that surface. And then I let that surface air dry. Now we finally get to the painting part, my favorite part. This is Clark and Kensington paint that I get from Ace. Ace Hardware is the closest hardware store to me now. And I have it in a Benjamin Moore color called Manchester Tan. And I'm just making a paint wash. I have the 3/4 amount of paint and then 1/4 amount of water. I add a layer of the paint on and I don't let it dry right away. I come back with a soft microfiber cloth and I wipe away all that excess wood. This is going to allow you to be able to see the wood grain, but lighten it up for that more natural wood look that's super popular right now. I let that first coat dry and then I came back and did that same process again. So it took 2 coats of this tan wash to get the color that I wanted. Now, when both coats were dry, I did come in with a 400 grit sanding sponge, lightly went over that painted surface, wiped the dust away, and then I came in with some clear polyurethane. This is Bear's satin polyurethane, and I did 2 coats of that, and that's just here on that center top part. Now, when that was dry, so this is the next day, I used some masking tape and I taped along the edges because I'm going to paint the rest of the top and the rest of the body of the nightstand and the drawer a different color. So they're very both neutral looks, but just two-toned still. I also masked off the gold on the bottom of the legs and then the sides of the drawers. I did a lot of extra work getting back to the raw wood on some of the drawer fronts and then the frame of the base. And then I just decided that I wanted to have that natural look on just the top only and the rest of this be solid color. I'm using Dixie Belle's Boss in the color gray, and I use a microfiber roller, and I just roll that over all the surfaces that I'm going to paint. A lot of paints, have paint and primer in them, but with this being one of those true mid-century pieces, a lot of times those old stains and stuff have a real strong chance of bleeding through, and I'm doing like a light natural look, and I don't really want to mess with bleed through. I don't want it to ruin my paint job. So I do go ahead and do 2 coats of this Dixie Belle Boss, allowing it to dry a couple hours in between each coat. And then I allow both coats set overnight. So they set for 24 hours before I come back in with my paint color. At the beginning of the video, I had announced that there will be a tour of my new home and new workspace. So if you are new to the channel or haven't been following me for very long, about 7, 8 months ago, my husband and I made the decision to sell our suburban home and buy some raw land out in the country. We bought 3 acres and we had to process and develop that land and add a septic and well and electric and have a house moved out there. So it's been quite the process, many months of trying to figure out how to do all this. But we finally got the house out there and we are finally in the new house and I'm in my new workshop. So I will have that tour after the final reveal. So again, if you're interested in seeing that, make sure you stick around. The next morning, I grabbed my 220 grit sanding sponge. I lightly went over that primed surfaces and then I used a microfiber cloth to wipe away that sanding dust. Here, I'm not trying to remove any of my primer off, just make sure I have a nice smooth surface for the paint. For the body of the nightstands, I am using another Benjamin Moore color and it is Waynesboro Taupe. Now, when I'm putting this on, it's wet, so it doesn't look like it's much difference of color than the light natural wood look I have going on in the middle of the nightstands. But I did 2 coats of this paint. The second coat ended up being a little bit darker, and then when it dries, you can definitely see the difference of color between the light natural wood in the middle and then the frame around the rest. So I know in this video it looks super similar, but they're not. As I work my way around the piece, I just use the same method that I did with the primer. I have a little 2-inch angle brush that I am using around in the crevices and the edges that my roller won't get in first. And then I come back with that roller to fill in all the empty space. After those two coats of paint dry, I do come in with that bare polyurethane in a satin finish. It's a crystal clear coat, and I did two coats of that on the painted surface area. And then I also removed the masking tape and then did a third layer over everything that I had painted with this satin polyurethane. I just love pulling that masking tape off and seeing those crisp, clean lines from a good paint job. Now, I have a little bit of painting left to do here. The gold is just, not looking sharp at all at the bottom of these legs. And these came to me with black knobs. And I'm kind of going with that more modern urban farmhouse look, which has a lot of, black in the metal. So the handles on these are already black. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the gold on the bottom of these legs to be flat black as well. I used part of a moving box to cut out space around the leg just to block that spray paint from spraying downward onto the body of the finished nightstand. But I made sure to leave that hole big enough to where I can very slowly and carefully pull it up and not hit that leg that I just sprayed and then taped each one. And I just went around and I did that to all 8 legs. And I did that twice because I did 2 coats of this black spray paint. And then for protection, I came back in with this clear matte and did a couple coats of that as well, using the same method that I did before, using the little guide to protect the overspray from falling down onto the body of the nightstands. All right, we are getting there, almost done with this flip. The insides of these drawers have some gross stains in them, so I happen to have this white and gold geometric shaped peel and stick wallpaper that I got on Amazon, and I just cut a piece down to size, put it into place, smooth it out, and then I come back with a really sharp razor blade and trim off any excess. There's other options where you can paint, do decoupage paper, but this peel and stick method is a pretty easy, cheap way to cover up gross old stains. And then I don't show this next part in every single one of my videos, but it is something that I do on all of my furniture flips. I grab Howard's Citrus Shield. This is a wax that smells like oranges. It smells so good. And I use a cloth and I just work that wax into the wood surfaces. That just really brings that wood back to life and helps protect it in, or seal it and protect it. And you just apply this on not a super thick layer, just work it into the wood surface, let it set for about 15-20 minutes, and then come back with a microfiber cloth and buff away that excess wax. I also take this wax and I use it on the inside of the nightstand to rub that wooden drawer slide and any of the edges that the drawer might slide or hit as it goes in and out. I put the drawers back into place and then this flip is done. Here's a quick reminder of what the nightstand started with whenever we first started. They need a lot of work, but this is what they look like now. I absolutely love that natural look on the top, but yet you can still see the wood grain showing through that tan wash, and then the nice taupe beige color, the liner of the drawers, and just the black handles all come together to create this beautiful urban farmhouse look that is so popular right now. I hope you all enjoyed this flip. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. And then make sure you also stick afterwards so you can see the tour of my home and my new workshop. All right, this is our new home, the Anatolia XL that we ordered from Mid-State Housing in Purcell, Oklahoma. They are fantastic to work with. So if you're looking to buy a new mobile home in the state of Oklahoma, I definitely recommend giving them a call. You can see that this is a nice long size mobile home. It is a double wide. When you open the front door, you are greeted by this nice, warm, open living room. And I just absolutely love that island. It's just big, open floor plan, which I love. The open floor plans really make me think of having family and friends over and sitting around the island or in the living room and just spending good quality time together. Now, off the living room is the master bedroom. It is a good size, and you can get our king size bed in there. I had a panel destroyed in the moving, but they did come fix that. But this is the master bedroom or bathroom that has the nice soaking tub, nice vanity, and I absolutely love the large subway style tile that's in the shower. I absolutely love, love, love this kitchen island with the pendant lights hanging down. It's just my favorite part of the whole kitchen. You can see that it has a nice long galleyway kind of style kitchen here. And there is a laundry room that has extra cabinet storage pantry in the washer dryer. And of course, it has a little nook as well for the washer and dryer, which, is standard for most homes. But I love that I have a counter space right there in the laundry room so I can fold my clothes right there instead of leaving them in a giant wad or, wherever. The homes do come with, new state of the art, energy smart appliances. I absolutely love this stove and vents and then the large farmhouse style kitchen sink. Just perfect. I love it. I've gone 6 months in the tiny home without having a dishwasher, and I am so excited to have a dishwasher finally again. Now, when you walk down the other hallway, which leads to the rest of the house, there are two identical bedrooms that kind of mirror each other, and they're decent size spare bedrooms. We have one as an office, and then another one, or other one will be our spare bedroom for guests. And then here is the additional bathroom. It has, typical vanity and sink. It does have a lot of cabinet storage in this bathroom, and it has a tub and shower combo, but it also has an extra vanity back behind the door, which is great for families that have kids. Now, the last room at the end of the house is this big open. You can do a bedroom and small den, but we decided to make it one huge, large den, which is a big selling point, I think, for this house. There is this nice big open area, additional door access on the side, but then there's this beautiful fireplace and all these windows surrounding it. And we don't have a workshop built outside yet, so after seeing all these windows, we decided that this was the perfect place for my paint studio. So we're moved in here, and I am working pretty close to the fireplaces where I set up my pieces and do my filming. And Rousey's always back there to be my little buddy to help me. But you can see I have shelving, and then I've got a little group in the middle here of projects that I have finished or will be working on. I'm working on clearing out our storage unit a little bit more, so I'll eventually have my to-do furniture pieces in storage and not right here in the middle of my workshop. I made sure to bring my miter saw with me because I use that quite often. But here's a sneak peek at the next few furniture pieces that I will be doing in videos coming up very soon. But I would like to get those to-do pieces out and maybe a workbench table build right there in the middle that rolls out of the way when I need it to. You can see I have my shelving here with all of my paints and primers and all the supplies for painting. In the cabinet, I have all of my handles and drawers and decoupage papers and pill and stick wallpapers, and I have a shelving unit for all of my tools that I use pretty often in flipping furniture. So this is my temporary paint studio for the next year or two until we, have time and the finances to get me a big workshop built. I'm definitely enjoying being inside, having heat and AC and all that natural light pouring in from the windows. I hope you guys enjoyed this tour. That is all I have for you today. Until next time.